you know, if you don't already have access to the 14th floor, then you can just walk right in, right? You just sign your name.
So the building's open to the public at the discretion of the building manager. That being said, is whoever comes in, some people sign in, some people don't sign in. It's an open building. Certain floors are locked. So not everyone signs in.
And not every floor is locked.
Not every floor is locked.
Yeah, you have Mr. Cox on that list, which I saw, and I'm sorry, which he's going to the 14th floor. So he signed his name, nobody walked him upstairs, he already has access. He must have a key code because the elevator...
No, he has to go through security to get access to the 14th floor.
That's what?
He has to go through security to get access to the 14th floor.
So James Cox could get in and give his name and go. Was that from today? He went in today?
Yes.
So James Cox went in today.
Well, I'm not sure if it's James Cox or whoever it is, but there is a list that Jam sends down. Jam sends it down. If your name's on the list, we're more than happy to
Are you the
send it.
supervisor?
Yes, am I speaking? You can ask, you cannot be recording us, ma'am.
Okay, we need to document this because this is a public process. I'm an investigative reporter. Yesterday we were referred to this building for from the LA Superior Court clerk.
Okay, and who are you here to visit?
We're here to see Jams. They have public records under California Rules of Court 2.400 that we are entitled to see. And the floor is locked, so we couldn't get in. We had to walk down 14 flights because we tried to walk, see if we could get in through the stairs. We couldn't get in through the stairs or the other building.
Yes, the stairwells are only for emergency.
So they're a private business, but they're conducting the public's business.
Okay.
And they have public records that are owned by the public that we are entitled to see during business hours. We shouldn't have to sign in.
Do you guys have an appointment with
We
them?
don't need an appointment. During normal business hours, that law gives us the right to those records. So
This is Susan Bassey. Long before mainstream media started covering the high-profile conservatorship case of Britney Spears or the private judge case involving Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's divorce, we had a number of complaints from members of the public who were complaining that in LA County they were not receiving fair treatment in the courts and that access to those courts was difficult. So we went to LA over the holiday break and we decided to see what that access looked like, and we decided to see what we could see about fairness and patterns that might be happening outside the celebrity cases. There were a number of security guards that helped point us in the right direction, and court clerks sent us to areas where they thought public notices would be about the information that we were seeking, because we were seeking the list of cases that had been removed from the public courthouse and put before private judges. This is a list we had been requesting in Santa Clara County for over 5 years, and that list still remains missing 3,000 cases that the public pays to have assured could be heard in a public court. In public courthouses, taxpayers pay to keep the lights on, the floors polished. They pay the staff and the judges. They pay for the signs that are posted to give you information about the courts. And they pay for the court file rooms where there are computers that give you access to public information.
stop. What case are you looking at?
This is for Goetz. Reva Goetz.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to need a copy of her disclosures.
Is this her order, report, recommendations?
The fact is that despite the fact that the public mostly funds our courts, they're still a business. They charge $1 a page for a copy of a public court file, and they pay court clerks to get files for us from records that they keep in their databases instead of publishing online so that anybody could have access to them. But mostly, the purpose of the courts is to fund trials and legal proceedings, meaning paying for the judge, the court reporters, the bailiff, and even the jury fees if required. This is the fundamental duty of the court, and yet during the pandemic, the courts have said they couldn't do their job, and we found a great many cases moving out of the public courthouse in secret in a manner contrary to public policy, and that is what we are investigating, the use of attorneys and retired judges. A public court judge is paid $200,000 a year, but a private judge is paid $8,000 a day. Their offices become public courthouses, and therefore we're entitled to access the records there. But finding the cases that have moved from public court to private has been more daunting than you can imagine. We've had to access all the floors, all the postings, and still could not find the records of the private judge cases that have been removed from the public courthouse.
Hi, I'm looking for the list that's supposed to be published and posted for the private judging cases.
California Rules of Court 2.834.
No, it's not the cases that are heard in the courthouse, but it's the cases when parties agree to stipulate to the use of a private judge. The private judge list is supposed to docket all of those cases so that the public can access them. Okay.
We spent over 2 hours in that courthouse that day trying to find the list, the docket of cases that had been filed in the public courthouse but had been removed to attorneys and retired judges to hear for private compensation, on top of what taxpayers had already paid to assure could be heard in a public court. We were told that the list was being maintained by the private business Jams, which is located in Century City on the 14th floor of a large, high-rise private building. And so that's where we went to find the list.
So the 14th floor is locked. We have to go down to security and climb up.
See if there's some stairs.
Okay. So the 14th floor is.
We initially found that the 14th floor was blocked. The public didn't have a right to access even the floor where these records were apparently kept. So we took the stairs to see if we could get in that way.
So this is the 14th floor, and it is locked.
ADA accommodations notwithstanding, we had to walk down 13 flights of stairs because all of the doors in the building were locked, meaning that there was not public access to the records as the courthouse had noticed.
This is where they send their mail out.
Oh, so they have dry cleaning.
So the business and the building that the public courthouse directed us to get public information had a dry cleaner, a restaurant, a mail service, and even a florist. What it did not have was access to the 14th floor for the public to go in and look at the records we were entitled to get.
Okay.
But that floor is a restricted floor.
Okay.
They decided to lock off their own floor.
That's the only
And you
I'm gonna
need,
interrupt you guys, but I just got a call from CC. She says you guys are clear to go to 14.
Great, thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
that's what I was
it.
gonna say, that would have been
It
my
just
next
shouldn't be
step.
that hard because not
That
everyone
would be-
knows how to fight for it like we do,
Yeah,
and
no,
it shouldn't be that
That would have been
hard.
our next step to call management, but since you guys
I
already got
appreciate it.
clearance, then.
I
we just
appreciate it.
want
Okay, so
Okay.
how do we get in there then?
So, here, I'll listen.
Okay.
The public right to know and access court proceedings and court documents is fundamental to our democracy. No area of our democracy matters more when it comes to transparency and accountability. It shouldn't require a security guard, a password code, or informal policies and procedures that require CC to approve your access to the 14th floor. And yet that is just what has happened in LA County. And it is unknown how many of these cases have been secreted that the public has already paid to assure could be heard in a public court. And it shouldn't be this difficult for any member of the public to access those proceedings or court records.
14th floor. Going down.
Litigants come in?
It's arbitrations and mediations,
How do they get to the 14th floor? They have to.
yes. We have to notify.
Private businesses that do the job of a public court demand transparency and scrutiny more than any other. A public court judge makes about $200,000 a year, which is less than most police officers and most district attorneys. But as a private judge, they make $8,000 a day, and they're provided a steady stream of income from the lawyers whom they gave favorable rulings to in court when they were a public court judge. And this fundamentally sets our system up to be
About the
privatized.
docket for, I guess, everybody on this panel who has private judging cases.
You mean a docket of all of their cases?
Yes.
That's private information.
No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not. It's public, and the Superior Court referred us here yesterday.
Okay, can I
Okay,
have
do
your
you have-
names?
My name is Corrigan.
Actually, you also don't get to know the names of the people from the public that are asking to see that. And in addition to this, we want to see the records under California Rule of 2.400 that your judges notice that will be here. So all of your private judges that handle family law cases, we saw in the courthouse, they're noticing that the records can be viewed here under California Rule of Court 2.400, and that's what we need to see as well.
Okay, we don't have like docket like materials that we don't.
So you've never created one?
Well, our system is kind of evolved to online, so we don't have like hard copy files anymore. So I'm interested
Then
in how
we'll
the
look
LA
at the
Supreme
data
Court
files.
would.
She would.
Okay, well, we are a private firm, so let me request this information and see if we're able to even get approved for it. And then is there a number I can contact you, or?
We're only in LA right now to do this, and we have to leave. And the law,
Well, we don't have that information
Right,
here,
she's
ma'am.
saying
We don't
that
have
you
that information. We can't pull anything for
I
you.
just
so
want to get
understand.
that documented. That needs to be fully documented.
So for some reason, I don't know if it's the court or there's a disconnect between Jan's, but the court thinks that you guys have the docket, which is a list, and you can actually find it if you need for reference. The Santa Clara County Courthouse puts it on their website. There's a link.
After we asked for the list for over 5 years in Santa Clara County, they began posting it on the public website. And yet we found over 3,000 cases are being omitted from these lists.
There's not one for Stanley Moss. There's not one for most other courthouses.
And it's a docket of every case that we have at JAM.
And who the judge is, the case number, when it was filed. It's literally a docket, but since you guys are doing the private judging arbitration, you have a huge volume of people that act as private judges here. You guys should be compiling that list and giving it to the court. The court shouldn't be sending people.
Yeah, I've never had this in the
Right.
decade I've been at JAM's, never had somebody ask for a docket because the reason why clients come here is because the docket is confidential.
It's not
not.
under the
Well,
law.
I understand what you're
So
saying.
I'm going to give you the law because this
Here's-
clearly
well,
needs to be
well,
something
I
for
understand, I
business.
Do
understand.
you have my card too, Reggie?
I
I'll
don't, I
take a
can get
copy.
one, yeah.
Okay, and then can I have your name, please?
No,
And then just one more
Okay.
time.
thank you.
before again,
Appreciate it. We're not picking on you guys.
No,
It's
it's
just
okay, and can I have the law you're saying was,
so there are two laws.
okay,
The California Rule of Court 2.834. There's supposed to be a list posted in the courthouse of all the cases that are removed from public court to private.
got it.
And they're either removed by court appointment under a 639 appointment, which is a referee you were just talking about, or the parties stipulate to it, which is a 638 appointment.
Got it.
Both of those proceedings are open proceedings by state, federal law, and 2.834. You'll find it in that
Okay.
rule. Additionally, all the exhibits, all the things that you do in your private business that is the business of the court because you're granted immunity and power of a judge to do that, that's under California Rule of Court 2.400. So that means if there's trial exhibits, we're entitled to walk in and see the trial exhibits of an ongoing trial. Until you finish a case and return all those dockets to the court, we are entitled to see them when they're here.
Also,
Okay, we're going to talk to your general counsel, and then we're not going to say anything else right now. We're going to talk to your general counsel, and then we'll call the number that you gave us.
Got
Also,
it.
you have our contact information,
Gave you
and
the
then
cards.
anything else.
Okay, I'm going to give you my name now. My name
Okay.
is Susan Bassey. I'm an investigative reporter. I'm investigating private judging. I've been doing it for 5 years.
Okay.
I found all these issues. So
Okay,
you just,
understood.
we're just making
thank
sure
you very
people are
much.
informed.
Thank you very
JAMS is a private business that contracts with attorneys and retired judges. They certainly should know the law about public access and the right to know. And if they can publish a list about who gets up and gets access to the 14th floor of their building, they certainly can publish the list of the cases that have been removed from public court to private court, giving them full immunity and power of a public court judge, which requires the obligation to allow public access to those proceedings and those records. And this is not what public access looks like.
There is a list that JAM sends down. JAM sends it down. If your name's on the list, we're more than happy to send you guys up.